Good afternoon. Welcome to JoyNews Today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We are on DTT because we're free to on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, increase our community development levy from 1% to 3% and shun the idea of keeping proceeds from lithium mining into the consolidated fund. That's the demand of communities in which lithium will be mined. How realistic are the demands? We'll tell you more. Also this afternoon, President Akufo-Addo explains why he did not sign bills abolishing the death penalty and prescribing accusations of witchcraft. We're live in Parliament for details as he approves 92% of the 2024 budget. Plus, Finance Ministry and the Ghana Revenue Authority commit Ghana to a 10-year contract worth over $1 billion, which is not benefiting the state. We'll bring you details of a revenue assurance contract to SML Ghana, a company that has admitted to making false claims about its services and savings to the government. Plus, this afternoon, ahead of the district-level elections, we are live at the Electoral Commission as it briefs the media on its preparedness for tomorrow's polls. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We have details of all of that, plus business, sports, latest in the world news, and showbiz coming up. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces via JoyNews on TV. My personal handle is @Denana Aisha. Please stay for details. This afternoon, President Akufo-Addo has offered a detailed explanation to Parliament on why he refused to sign some bills passed by Parliament and 2 amendments to the Criminal and Other Offences Act to abolish the death penalty and prescribe accusation of witchcraft sponsored by Medina MP Francis Sosu and passed by the House in July have all hit a snag, with the President explaining they offend the Constitution. The President insists that Article 108, private members cannot sponsor bills to impose a charge on the Consolidated Fund, and that commuting a death sentence to life imprisonment imposes a charge on the Consolidated Fund and should have come from the government. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with more on this. Kweku, this has significant consequences for the anti-gay bill before Parliament, as it imposes a charge also on the Consolidated Fund.
Yes, I mean, clearly the President is now on a collision course with the executive. The President on a collision course with Parliament, I should say. You will clearly have seen Sam George on the floor. You will see his reaction, shaking his head, trying to talk to colleagues, because if this President's position he has taken, if he's to stick with this from now till the end, the President will not sign the anti-gay bill into law when it is passed. Because the President has made it clear that if you catch a witch finder, for instance, and you put a person in jail, as Francis Sosu's bill would have done, it imposes a charge on the Consolidated Fund because the state would have to take care of this person in prison. If you commute if you commute a death sentence to life imprisonment, it will impose a charge on the Consolidated Fund, because the person now having to spend the entire life in jail will mean a charge on the Consolidated Fund, which he says is unconstitutional. And that is the same thing the anti-gay bill does. It imposes a sentence of up to 3 years in jail to these persons. And so the President clearly warning that he will not sign these bills into law if they come. He has a warning to the Parliament of Ghana that in considering bills of this nature in the future, you have to pay attention not to consider any private member's bill that imposes a charge on the Consolidated Fund. So really, really incredible letter that has come from the President. If you see the reaction in Parliament, the minority MPs clearly not happy with the stance that has been taken by the President on this matter. Sam George in particular seated and not really happy with that, gesturing to colleagues and all that. At some point, the majority leader wanted to be on his feet to speak. The Speaker of Parliament ordered him to sit down, saying that he will bring a statement to this matter within the week, and then MPs can comment on this. They've literally turned the House upside down this morning or this early afternoon in Parliament because there are MPs who have strong concerns about this and they all wanted to say this.
What has been the demeanor of Sam George, who's sponsoring this bill?
Well, I just saw, like I was explaining earlier on, the Speaker of Parliament, while the Speaker read this letter, Sam George was seated on his phone, gesturing, shaking his head, trying to talk to colleagues, trying to make his point, because he clearly sees into the future. This is exactly what is going to happen. If the president is not signing the Anti-Witchcraft Bill, if he's not signing the death penalty abolishment law, then clearly he's not going to sign the anti-gay bill. The president said he sought legal advice from the Attorney General of the Republic, who advised him copiously that those 3 bills that came from the House all did not meet the constitutional test, and that bills that will impose any...
We don't have any business to do. The problem,
even if it's a city, must come from the executive.
We can now go live to the chamber and listen to the debate on this.
you don't have what we do our private business. What do you want us to do, Mr. Speaker? Well, Mr. Speaker, they said they don't have anything to do. We should suspend for 1 hour. We don't have anything to do. No, we don't have any information.
Hello, Honorable Mama Yaga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Given that they don't have business, we have business. Mr. Speaker, I want to seek your leave, pursuant to Order 72, to raise a matter of urgent public importance, and then to request this Parliament to take action on the matter under another law that gives us the authority to take action.
Well, let's stay in Parliament because a host of pilots with the Ghana Air Forces are abandoning the force and leaving. That's a report by Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, which is revealing this. According to the committee's report on the budget estimates for the Defence Ministry, the main reason for the high attrition rate is due to the lack of aircraft for these pilots to use, rendering them redundant. Listen to Vice Chairman of the Defence and Interior Committee, Ophelia Mensah, presenting the committee's report and recommending the urgent purchasing of new aircraft.
Mr. Speaker, when your committee met in considering the budget estimate for the Defence Ministry, some observations and recommendations were made. Mr. Speaker, one key observation that was made, and I wish to bring it to the fore of the House, is the importance or the need to acquire more aircraft for the ministry. It is important to observe that the air combat capability is necessary to strengthen surveillance of the airspace of the country, especially in the wake of terrorism in the West African sub-region. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Air Force therefore needs to acquire additional logistics such as executive aircraft, fighter jets, helicopters needed for rescue and defense purposes. It is a matter of concern that the Ghana Armed Forces has recently suffered attrition of trained pilots. It is important, therefore, that the Ghana Air Force takes immediate steps to augment its fleet of aircraft to halt this phenomenon.
Let's now take you live to the Electoral Commission, where the Electoral Commissioner Jane Mensah is addressing the press ahead of tomorrow's district-level elections.
And we bring you warm greetings from the Electoral Commission. We'd like to thank you for taking the trouble to join us for this media encounter on the upcoming district-level election. And on behalf of the Commission, I'd like to apologize once again for the late start. On Tuesday, the 19th of December 2023, eligible voters in this country will go to the polls to cast their vote to elect new Assembly and Unit Committee members to the various district assemblies and unit committees. The purpose of this engagement this afternoon is to share with the good people of Ghana and the media the Electoral Commission's preparedness to ensure a peaceful and successful conduct of the district level elections, which I mentioned come off tomorrow, Tuesday, the 19th of December, 2023. We welcome you once again. The district level election is a term which connotes district assembly election and the unit committee election. Both elections are held every 4 years to elect members to the assembly and unit committees. The tenure of the current members ends in 2023, hence the fresh call for the elections which take place tomorrow. As mentioned earlier, the district assembly and unit committee elections will be held in all the electoral areas and in all districts, with the exception of the Nkranza North and the Nkranza South districts in the Bono East region. I'd like to emphasize again that voting will take place in all polling stations in all electoral areas across the country, with the exception of the Nkranza North and Nkranza South districts in the Bono East region. This is because both districts I was just making the point that voting will take place in all polling stations in all electoral areas across the country, with the exception of Nkranza North and Nkranza South districts. This is because both districts had their elections in 2021 instead of 2019. Hence, the term of office of the Assembly and the Unit Committee of those two districts will expire in 2025. Voting, as you all know, will commence at 7 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. in all polling stations across the country. All eligible voters are therefore expected and urged to go to their respective polling stations to cast their votes. Registered voters whose voter identity cards are missing can still go to their respective polling stations to cast their votes, since their particulars are already in the final register. And also their particulars have been incorporated and uploaded in the biometric verification devices, and therefore voters who have misplaced their voters' ID cards are still encouraged to go to their respective polling centers to cast their votes. As part of the Commission's preparations towards the conduct of the district level elections, the Commission undertook some major activities, most of which you are aware of, and we engaged you extensively on those activities. The activities include the limited registration exercise, the exhibition of the voters' register. We also had a period for the transfer of votes, and also the receipt of nominations from prospective candidates, as well as the mounting of platforms across the country. In most of these activities, we engaged you and you worked with us and provided adequate, relevant information to the citizenry, for which we are grateful. I must emphasize that all categories of election officials have been recruited and trained at the national, regional, and district levels to prepare them adequately for their respective duties. In all, some 116,701 election officials have been trained and equipped for the district level elections. They include returning officers, deputy returning officers special duties, presiding officers, key trainers and technicians, verification officers, and ballot issuers, amongst others. Almost all, and I would say that all our election materials and equipment required for the district level elections have been procured in sufficient quantities and dispatched to the various regions and districts. The notice of poll have been posted advantage areas at all polling stations and electoral areas across the country. Ballot papers for the DLE have also been printed and dispatched to the various regions and districts under police escort. And this is with the exception of some districts in the eastern region, which are currently being dispatched as we speak. But I'd like to emphasize that all ballot papers for the DLE have been printed and dispatched to the various regions and districts under police escort, with the exception of some districts in the eastern region which are being dispatched as we speak. The final register of all 38,315 polling stations have been printed and dispatched to the various regions and districts. The biometric verification devices, which will be used to verify voters in the elections, have also been dispatched. In total, 71,775 BVDs have been refurbished and deployed to the various regions and districts, and this would be used to verify each voter who comes to the polling station to cast their vote. This, of course, includes backups, which may come to use should the main BVDs deployed for this activity fail. We have a sufficient number of backup BVDs, that is biometric verification devices, in all districts across the country, which could be relied upon should the ones that we have as the main ones fail. We also have well-trained technicians who have been deployed to the regions and to the various zonal centers to provide technical support should that become necessary. As I mentioned, the Commission mounted platforms for all candidates contesting in the District Assembly and Unit Committee elections in all the electoral areas across the country. The exercise started on the 1st of December and ended yesterday, Sunday, the 17th of December, 2023. We have also engaged extensively with the security agencies, and just a few weeks ago, we ignited, under the auspices of the Ghana Police Service and under the auspices of the IGP, the election security task forces across the country. And they've been ignited at the district, regional, and national levels. The Commission has to date submitted the list of all polling stations across the country to the security agencies. And we are expecting and we are hopeful that they would provide security at each and every polling station across the country. In addition to that, we've also provided them a list of the flashpoint areas. And we believe that they will provide adequate security to ensure that the elections go on peacefully and without a hitch. We would like to entreat eligible voters that persons with disabilities, the aged and nursing mothers, should be given some preferential treatment at the polling stations. We do not expect that this category of persons will join long queues at the polling stations. And we entreat eligible voters to allow them to vote in a timely manner should they arrive at our polling stations. In addition, the Commission has provided tactile ballots, jackets, and ballot papers for persons who are visually impaired. And this is in no short supply across the country, and therefore persons who are visually impaired will be able to cast their votes with the use of the tactile jackets. As you may be aware, in our efforts to ensure a good turnout at this year's district level elections, we have engaged in extensive radio and TV advertisements and educational programs to sensitize the general public on the upcoming district level elections. We have conducted interviews both at the national, regional, and district levels. We have engaged various stakeholders. We have held stakeholder workshops for women, for persons with disability, for the youth. We've also conducted, and I'm sure you hear some of our jingles which go on the radio and TV, and this is across the country. So it's not just limited to the national level, but it's at the regional level and it's at the district level as well. We hope that it would encourage a positive turnout, and we'll have a turnout which is well above what we witnessed in 2019. Additionally, educational posters have also been posted in conspicuous places to inform and educate the citizens on the election. I'd like to mention that the Commission has also provided accreditation to a number of civil society organizations and development partners who have written and have applied for accreditation. As you may be aware, the media, we have a standing agreement with the media where accreditation is provided free of all charges. And so we are hopeful that and confident that the media would go and observe and cover the elections across the country. I think that I'll speak on the issue of collation. The collation of the District Assembly and Unit Committee election results will be done at the respective electoral area collation centers. Winners of the two elections will be declared immediately at the collation centers, and copies of the final results will be posted on the electoral area collation centers. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to entreat all Ghanaians to go to their polling stations to cast their votes. We have put in place adequate arrangements, and we believe that the elections will go on smoothly and seamlessly without a hitch. Experience over the years shows that this election is not highly participated in, and we would like to entreat all Ghanaians and assure them that the Electoral Commission has put in place all arrangements, all necessary arrangements and modalities have been put in place for a smooth, incident-free election, and we would like to entreat all Ghanaians to take their time to go to their polling stations to cast their votes. Let us make this election meaningful. We are all aware that development starts at the district level, and therefore it is important as citizens that we have a say and a stake in who brings development at our various districts. So on behalf of the Commission, the Electoral Commission of Ghana, I use this opportunity to urge all citizens of Ghana across the 16 regions of this country to take their time and some time to go to their polling stations to vote for members of the Assembly and their units. Additionally, I would like to advise all voters to refrain from acts that will disrupt the peaceful conduct of the election. The Electoral Commission thanks you, our media partners, for your time here this afternoon. We look forward to receiving questions from you. And may God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make us all great and strong. Thank you very much for your time.
You have the Jim Mensah, Electoral Commissioner, urging all Ghanaians to go in their numbers to exercise their votes tomorrow in the district level elections. And she says that we all must have a say in who brings development in our districts. And so she says the Electoral Commission is well prepared. They've put in all the necessary arrangements to ensure a smooth running of tomorrow's exercise. Let's get on to other stories. A year-long investigation by the Fourth Estate has revealed that the Finance Ministry and the Ghana Revenue Authority have committed Ghana to a 10-year contract that would cost the country over $1 billion. The revenue assurance contract was first awarded to Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited in 2020. The company claimed, among others, that it had saved Ghana over 3 billion cedis due to its operations. When the Fourth state confronted it with evidence, it denied making the claim despite having it on the company's website. Even as of this morning, here are excerpts of the investigative piece.
The company started operations in 2020. From the revenue figures we obtained from the GRA, the difference in the total revenue from the downstream petroleum sector between 2019 and 2020 is 800 million cedis. If all the increment was attributed to the work of the company, it will still fall short of the 1 billion cedis it claimed to have saved. In February 2023, SML Ghana Limited again claimed that it had saved 3 billion cedis due to its operations. The company has admitted the services it listed on its website as curtailing irregularities in the sector did not exist and deleted them from the website. Even if SML was carrying out those services and all the incremental revenue within the period of its operations was credited to the company's efforts, the amount would be 2.4 billion cedis and not 3 billion cedis as it claimed to have saved. When we put these figures to the managing director, he made a shocking admission.
That's why that 3 billion, I'm not. That's why I told you from the beginning. I said I don't know about this 3 billion.
We cannot say your intervention saved 3 billion.
No, I said 3 billion. I'm not. I've told you that I'm not aware, because when we were told about the publication, we even called the.
As we speak this morning, still on your website.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In fact, to be honest, I don't even know website matter.
Despite evidence that SML Ghana lied about the services it renders to the state and the amount of money it claimed to have saved, the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, this year decided that the company's contract should be expanded to cover the gold mining sector and the upstream petroleum production sector in Ghana.
Potentially, and I use potentially advisedly, we consider it duplicitous. However, we have agreed that we want to meet with them and understand the real rationale for which they also want to do an automatic tank gauging system. It doesn't matter if their automatic tank gauging system is supposed to gauge the tanks at the depots, whilst our system gauges the tanks at the filling stations.
At the end of our second day at SML Ghana, however, we were convinced that the company, with the help of Ghana's media, had made false and unsubstantiated claims and is paid millions of cedis in a deal that appears to lack value for money. A few hours after our meeting, some of the claims began to disappear from the company's website.
We were shocked at one point when government said they were bringing in SML to actually sit at the depot where the product is lifted. And in fact, that is where there isn't much problem. Because when the product is lifted, MPA is able to see, how much product has been lifted through their tank gauging systems and also the metering systems at the depot. So that was never the problem. The problem really was, how do you track it to where the tax is actually collected or is supposed to be collected for you to be able to make the money. So from day one, the importance of SML was questioned by all the industry players. You can talk to all the players in the sector and they will tell you that where SML is positioned, they cannot be doing revenue assurance for the state.
SML Ghana, like other private sector service providers, was engaged to curtail huge losses in the downstream petroleum sector. Some oil marketing companies, OMCs, which lifted petroleum products from the nation's depots, sold the products and refused to pay hundreds of millions of cedis of the tax, levies, and margins components on the petroleum products.
Chiefs and people of the communities affected by lithium mining in the Fantaman municipality of the Central Region are demanding the government increases their community development levy from 1% to at least 3%. They also want government to scrap the idea of keeping the proceeds in the consolidated fund. They're proposing that the account should be managed by a committee of the chiefs and the company. They revealed this in an exclusive interview with the head of our energy desk, Samuel Kojo. He joins us via Zoom with more on this. Kojo, first, what did you find in these communities?
Well, so I found, people who are optimistic about this particular, operation that will be coming up. Some of them, especially in Ewoya, have already been employed in this company, and they make the argument that, look, before this company came in, we were nowhere, but now we are making a living out of what we do with the company. So they really, want the company to be granted a mining lease to start operating, because they feel that when they do, a lot more people can get employed. So that is one thing you get. On the other hand, you meet people, especially in Akufo, which is about 15 minutes drive from Ewoya, who argue that there hasn't been that much of a sensitization for them to really buy into these operations and to understand what the real thing is. So they want a better consultation for them to understand what the mining thing is all about. They want to be educated by the company as to the prospect of job creation. The chief of Akufo, for example, was talking about the fact that how many unskilled people will be employed from the community, because to him, he doesn't have a lot of skilled people. He has more unskilled. So what is the plan of this company? And more especially, they think that government hasn't done them a lot of good in terms of how much will be coming to the community. They say government has been able to negotiate for royalties to be moved from 5% to 10%, but it kept the community development levy at 1%. So that's something that they're asking for. The chief of Akufo, for example, made this point. We can listen to him now.
Abai tum no ye ma 10% no ejina wa meme de the full say na mum ye 1% no na me kire say on the yesra abai on fa bi nkan. Second, consolidated fund now.
I think if government can agree with them on the current conditions for them to start the mining operations, it will be good. But for our 1%, we plead with government to increase it. Again, the consolidated fund, they want to put that 1% in. We, Nananum, disagree. We want that to be put into our own fund to be managed by us and the company for easy access to the revenues. This will help us implement development plans easily. If we get 5%, we will like it. So government should look at it. We're proposing 5%, but if they get us 4 or 3%, we'll appreciate it.
That was the chief of Ewoya speaking there in an interview with my colleague Kojo. We can now listen to the chief of Akufo also making his point.
In America, day. So what's why agreement in 1 year? We signed the 1%. Meant that was a capital person to do. And so why and she share 1 year in American onion.
So if they are drafting an agreement, they should do it well, because for the 1%, I haven't heard them increase it. Why haven't they increased it when that is coming to us? They should increase it. If they can increase the 5% to 10%, then they can equally increase our 1% too, because the populations of the communities are growing in size. When I came here to school, this was a very small village, but today look at how grown it is. Every community grows. So if the share of the communities is 1%, then government should have thought about us well when it was planning. At least if they take it to 4 or 3%, that will be fine.
At least, or 3% and now 4% and per.
We're still live on JoyNews Today. We'll be back with business.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Today with me, Pius Kojo-Baka. The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, is embarking on an online verification and registration exercise for all vehicles into a new smart driving license. The process is part of moves by the authority to migrate from the manual registration process into an online database from next year. Addressing journalists, Deputy Director in charge of Vehicle Registration, Eric Addison, said the exercise will support government's e-commerce agenda.
We've digitized all vehicles that we registered from 1995 till date. Now, what happens to all vehicles that previously went through the manual vehicle registration system? Presently, we've opened up all our offices to do what we call the onboarding of all vehicles that we've registered through the manual route. What this simply means is that we're going to examine the vehicles and then validate the owners of the vehicle. Then we migrate them onto the digital platform. So if your vehicle has been registered through the manual platform, we recommend all vehicle owners in the country to visit any DVLA office across the country. We are in 34 operational offices across the country. Go with your vehicle and your vehicle documents, and then we'll do what we call validation, and we'll migrate you to the digital platform. So it's just about 5 simple steps. You present your vehicle for inspection, you present your vehicle documents for validation. Because we are custodians of all the vehicle documents, we have the original format, but we require the vehicle owners to present their vehicle documents that was presented to them. If you've misplaced your vehicle documents, you need to report to the police for the police to enter your details into their registry for us to get appropriate documentation to proceed. Now, once we complete your authentication of your vehicle documents, then you can generate an invoice and pay online. Again, I mentioned that you can pay on any of the Ghana.gov platforms across the country. Now, once that is completed, we need to validate you or verify you as a vehicle owner, be it an individual, group of individuals, a corporate institution, or joint ownership between a corporate institution and individual. So whatever the situation may be, we can continue with the identity verification, and then we provide you with the certificate of title and then the vehicle registration smart card.
NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama is committing to spending more of government's budget on goods produced by Ghanaian manufacturing enterprises that sign on to the 24-hour economy policy. The move will be one of the incentives to drive companies to buy into the policy when the NDC succeeds in winning the next election. Mr. Mahama says the government spending on these businesses will help their expansion to improve the economy. Anawe Ojima reports.
John Dramani Mahama!
The 24-hour economy is tipped to be the NDC's biggest message for the next election. Already, the message is taking over placards and party t-shirts even before the main campaign season. Though the policy and mode of implementation are yet to be fully outdoored, John Mahama continues to drop some incentives along his tour. Reduced tariffs, improved security, and tax incentives are among outlined incentives. Latest to be announced is a deliberate expenditure on products of manufacturers captured under the policy if the NDC wins election.
The government of Ghana budget and a so chain business Government of Ghana's budget is bigger than any business in the country. It is bigger than that of mining companies. If government decides to buy from these companies operating in the country, especially those operating under the 24-hour economy, they will expand to employ more people. Yesika yede to nyoma ewo Ghana ha ye beto made in Ghana near 24-hour economy enyuma ne ye no omo kwa na ye beto sa made in Ghana goods no ebe sha omo enkran ama omo ahonden ma omo timi aye enyoma no mo na omo timi afa emabunu bebre abeka ho. And so near ebe say we will make sure that government uses its spending power in the economy to boost made in Ghana businesses, so that they also will make money to be able to employ more people.
The NDC touts the campaign promise as a game changer to the country's unemployment challenges. It has so far gained acceptance from the business community. Mr. Mahama says it is already making impact in some countries. Meanwhile, the NDC has revealed there are other policies proposed to turn around the country's fortunes. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Western Region.
And that's it for business. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Dara will be at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. Sports is next.
Let's do sports now on JoyNews Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Former Black Stars goalkeeper Akufo-Addo says the current crop of Black Stars players do not have the character to play for a senior national team. Speaking on Prime Take, the former goalkeeper of Ashanti Gold believes that with the right character going into the African Cup of Nations 2023, which will be staged in Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana would stand a chance of winning the tournament.
For me, I'm not in the team for a long time, but I feel like they need to add more character, the players. They are giving the coaches problem. The reason why I'm saying that, we could say up here, what is telling the boys, what is doing to the boys, it's made the boys playing well. Let me tell you one thing. In Sudan, the clubs, they pay the players than the national team. They are paid them when they travel. Everything, they pay more than the national team. So when they come to the national team, they feel like, I'm just coming to play. My clubs pay me better than. But we change their mindset when we went there with meetings upon meetings. Even I use myself as an example to them. That, guys, going to the World Cup is different.
So the character, you mean the character in the Black Stars is not right?
No, they have to increase it. That's what I see from the players. The character. I mean, that's how I see it from afar. That's how I see it. Okay. Apart from that, maybe if other thing, I don't know. Quality, technically good. Technically, the coaches are trying. Because now you could see, if Blasters are playing game, you could see they do some build-ups nicely. Yes, the coaches are giving the concept. So it's up to the players to increase the character. Individually, you could see some are having, but it's a collective something.
So if we have the right character, we can win the African Cup next year.
I'm telling you.
Cote d'Ivoire is just some few days away.
Don't worry. If they should increase the character and come together, simple. And one day you call me that I should come and what I've said has come to pass.
For now, we do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. Up next is World News.
And as time check out what's making headlines elsewhere, a huge explosion at the main oil refinery in Guinea's capital, Conakry, has killed at least 8 people and wounded dozens. The explosion blew out the windows of nearby houses in downtown Conakry, and hundreds of residents fled the area. The authorities have ordered schools in the city to close and urged workers to stay at home. The explosion was caused by a fire. It is unclear what started the blaze. A senior official at the facility said 8 charred bodies were brought to the morgue of the Instanstein Hospital. Media reports of the number of people injured vary from 84 to 100. The fire broke out at around midnight local time and was still raging hours later. The blaze and billowing black smoke could be seen miles away. In Israel, Hamas health officials say at least 110 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes in Jabalia in northern Gaza. There's been no specific comment from the Israeli government, which insists it is targeting what it calls terrorist infrastructure. Jabalia, part of which is a long-standing refugee camp, is in the north of Gaza, an area where since the early days of the war, Israel has warned people to leave. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin is expected to meet Israeli officials today as the UK, France and Germany step up global calls for a ceasefire. At the UN Security Council, the U.S. is said to be seeking to tone down the words of a new draft resolution calling for a cessation of hostilities. Hamas broke through Israel's heavily guarded perimeter on October 7, killing 1,200 people and taking 240 hostages, some of whom were released during a brief truce. The health ministry in Gaza, which is run by Hamas, says more than 18,700 people have been killed and 50,000 injured in the enclave since the start of the Gaza war. That does it for World News. Up next is Showbiz. Showbiz, for more than 10 years running, Manifestivities has been a household name in the month of December in Ghana, championed by Ghanaian musician Manifest. Last night, the air was charged with excitement as fans flooded the venue for Manifestivities. My colleague Jacqueline Sumayabua was there and came through with this report.
Untamed Empire in Accra was the place to be last night, and if you missed it, you missed out big time. Picture this: Manifestivities, the brainchild of the Ghanaian musician Manifest, took over the city, turning it into a hip-hop haven filled with beats, vibes, and pure excitement. As the night unfolded, the sounds of Manifest music became the heartbeat of the event. Nigeria's own Ladipo couldn't contain his joy, declaring Ghana as his musical home away from home.
I always feel good when I come here, always. And so every time I come, I feel like I'm finding a whole different community. Like, I'm from Nigeria, but I'm in Accra performing, and they know me, and they know my songs.
Terminator hitmaker King Promise also graced the event and shared his perspective on the celebration.
I mean, you can see the setup is nice, the sound is crisp. I love the sound so much. It's just the vibe. I feel like people who come to this show are just people with good vibes, so it's always a good thing to come back.
The man of the moment, Manifest, beamed with elation as he reflected on the event. He revealed that the change in venue from the familiar Bukum Boxing Arena only added to the uniqueness of the night.
Another Manifestivities down. I mean, obviously we still have a Saka on stage, but I'm excited. New venue, we took a risk. The people really showed up for us, and I think they had a good time.
When you changed the venues, how were you skeptical about it?
No, we're skeptical, but it's always a challenge, right? People are used to something. It's a bigger venue. We wanted to create a bigger experience with different things, and I think it happened. But I think so. I've heard some comments already. I just came off stage not so long ago, but people are like, yo, it actually worked. They felt like the vibe in the space, so I'm glad. Yeah.
Yes, smiles and expressions said it all. Patrons attending the event for the first time revealed that Manifestivities not only lived up to the hype, but exceeded expectations.
So far it's been great. I like the turnout. As you can see, a lot of people are out to have fun, and it's a good indication that Ghana music, if promoted and pushed in the right direction, we can generate something huge like this.
It was kind of smooth and awesome for me. Like, I had fun. Actually, this is my first time coming to Manifestivities. This is my first time, but I would say that this must be one of the best.
Last night was just a tip of the iceberg on what patrons are to expect from artists this December in Ghana. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa.
And that's it for Showbiz. That's how we also wrap up the bulletin this afternoon. My name is Aisha Brian. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. You see headlines including 3 billion cedis lie. Government pays hundreds of millions to company despite false claims about its work. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.